Hey, Thomas, Dave with the Post and Courier here. Good to see you again. You just looking at last year, man. I mean, it ended so suddenly. Just how
Yeah.
did you guys adjust to that in the first week? And just what has this offseason been like knowing your season last year was 16 games?
Oh yeah, it did happen very fast. I remember because one of my buddies from high school, he actually plays for Tennessee, and we were supposed to open up with Tennessee, and he told me that I think they were literally on the way to the airport to get on the plane to fly over here or something like that, and ended up the coach told him to get off the plane, and it started out was we're not playing this week, then it turned into we're not playing in 2 weeks, and then it was we're not having a season at all, and that happened all in like maybe 36 hours. So it was definitely an adjustment. I mean, but there was really a lot of us were in shock, obviously, because we knew COVID was a thing, but we didn't know it would turn into what it actually turned into. And so, but there's nothing you could really do about it. So you just started trying to make plans after. So see what we could do for summer ball, looking to see what we could do with the draft and stuff like that. But the offseason was also a really weird time because, like I said, you just didn't know what you were going to be doing. You didn't know if you were some of us would be going into pro ball. If you did go into pro ball, what did that look like? Did you need to be expected to be able to throw, be able to play, or should you kind of scale it back? And then summer ball too, same thing. You didn't know. I was expected to go to the Cape, and then that ended up kind of getting shut down too. So it was a really weird time. You kind of wanted to be in shape, but also like you didn't want to be in shape if you didn't need to. So it was a weird time, but I'm glad it's kind of over, and I'm just hoping this season we can kind of kick it off and not have many hiccups.
Colin?
Yeah, Thomas, I mean, you're a guy that obviously got some draft looks and was draft eligible. What made you want to come back to South Carolina, and how excited are you? What's the mentality now that you're going in as a presumed weekend guy and maybe the Friday night guy on this team?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, my biggest thing was the hardest thing for me in like looking at professional baseball is that obviously I got hurt my true sophomore year. And then with the season getting canceled last year, I just haven't gotten to play a lot. And so I think scouts have seen me in the fall and stuff like that. But the fall is one thing, but the SEC is a completely another. And I think for me, I really needed to play in the SEC to kind of prove that, I was back to 100% healthy. I can compete at the highest level and stuff like that with it being canceled. And so I had the opportunity, but I just felt like I was getting a little shortchanged just because, and not to their like fault. I mean, how can you draft a guy that hasn't played in 2 years basically? So I wasn't upset with it at all. But it's the same thing it's been since last year. I just come back and I'm ready to prove myself that I'm back to healthy. I can contribute to this team and play at a really high level. So I'm extremely excited to actually hopefully be able to get into the SEC this year and actually play some SEC teams and show the country and professional teams what I can do.
Greg Hadley?
Hey, Thomas. Coach has been talking about a lot about the amount of power arms you got on the staff. Just, I guess, how deep do you guys think you guys can run in terms of that velocity?
I think it's really deep. I mean, I think there's a few guys, not even a few. I think there's a good many guys here in a normal draft year that they would not be on campus, especially some of these freshmen. They are really good at what they do. Obviously, they're a little rough around the edges, but in the next 3 years, especially those guys, I mean, you've got some serious first rounders that are freshmen right now that I really think that with Coach Mead's guidance and just playing in the SEC and overall with Billy in the weight room, they could really be a special group. And then you add the guys that are draft eligible sophomores and juniors that are back because of the shortened draft. I think we have one of the best bullpens, if not the best bullpen in the country. I really believe in these guys. We've got a lot of experience. We've got a lot of older guys that are really good at what they do, and they throw really hard. So I like our staff. I think we're moving in the right direction. I'm really excited to see what these guys can do when it comes down to the actual game. Scrimmages are one thing, but like I said, getting to the SEC and stuff like that is completely different. So I know those guys are itching to get and compete against other people, and I'm really excited to see what they can do.
John Whittle?
Yeah, talking about the depth on the pitching staff, there are a lot of talented arms on this team. When y'all kind of look around, do y'all wonder to yourself, like, how are innings going to be divided up? How do we keep everybody happy? What's kind of that thought process among you guys?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that's not necessarily talked about during practice, but I mean, as just a competitive player, you look around and there's a lot of really good guys here. So it's not like we're competing, but it's not like a fight. Like it's not like a grudge against each other. I think everyone's just doing what they do best. And I think every guy has a unique situation where they can really excel in games. And so while we do have all these guys at our disposal, I think a lot of guys are going to be very good in certain situations. So it's a lot of dynamic arms. And I think that's a really nice thing to have, just because you never know what situation is going to come in the SEC or really out of conference, and to have so many guys that are good at very unique parts of pitching, I think is really big. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the coaches kind of split up the innings and stuff like that. But I think each guy is really good at certain parts, and they'll be very valuable in certain situations.
All right, Michael and Nana.
Hey, Thomas. Compared to, the uncertainty of last year when the pandemic first happened and no one really knew what was going on, what's sort of the comfort level for you and your teammates this year? What's kind of the day-to-day like? I mean, how has it kind of changed things for you? How are you kind of navigating just all the changes and safety measures and all that?
Yeah, we definitely have to be pretty careful about what we do, just because with all the contact tracing and stuff like that, I mean, if one guy in the house gets sick, I mean, that could cause 4 people to go down. So you have to be careful who you're hanging around, and then always be wearing your mask, like when you go to class and stuff like that, and just kind of be more to yourself, I guess you could say. I mean, we hang out with each other just because we all get tested once a week and stuff like that. So obviously I know my teammates, either if they're positive or negative. But yeah, you just have to be careful about what you're doing and just be smart, follow the guidelines that are kind of given by Brian, and really all this stuff. Just wear your mask, clean your hands, keep the 6 feet apart and stuff like that. So I think we've done a really good job with it. I know some guys have gotten COVID, and I think, it's partially you do everything you can, but sometimes things still happen. And so I think we've done a really good job with it, but it's just distancing yourself from others and just following the guidelines and doing what you can do your part.
How does it kind of affect team camaraderie? I know Mark was talking about you guys have like paintball things that you usually do, or Super Bowl parties. I mean, have you guys, maybe are you playing video games more? Or do you guys do kind of different things to sort of build that camaraderie in different ways?
Yeah, so we definitely do. So one of the big changes that we have that they actually just implemented now is that we have 2 different locker rooms right now. They split it up just because of the contact tracing and stuff like that. So that's something that's a little bit different, not having everybody in the same room. But it's just kind of like you just kind of have to go with the flow. And I mean, we do play probably a lot more video games now, where we'll just talk to each other more at the field or something like that. But it's just kind of the way the times are right now. Like, it kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, I think ultimately our goal is to have a season. And so if we have to have 2 separate locker rooms to have a season, then it is what it is. It's not the most ideal thing in the world, but it's more ideal to have a season than to have 1 locker room.
Thomas, just is there a game you guys like to play the most, and who's the best?
Oh yeah, the new Warzone. Warzone's a big one for us. We play a lot of Warzone. And then Rocket League. I'm not too good at Rocket League. That's a pretty tough game for me to play. But I know my 2 roommates, Jeff and Brandon, they love Rocket League, and I know Brett Carey, some of those guys. They really get after it on Rocket League. But I'm more of a Warzone guy for sure.
And I'm curious. This team's obviously gotten a lot of praise. It's top 25 nationally entering the season. The recruiting class is pretty heralded. I'm curious, how do you guys balance expectations and not having to maybe pay too much attention to them, knowing that there's still 56 games left to play?
Yeah, I think it's one of the advantages of having a really older team, especially just because, like, a lot of the junior college kids, especially, I mean, I came from a program that was nationally ranked from the preseason and stuff like that. And you kind of learn that you see it all the time, and I'm sure we'll see it in the SEC play. Rankings aren't everything. I mean, it's a good projection. I mean, you can look at big names and stuff like that, but I truly believe rankings really aren't that big of a deal, just because it's baseball, and I think baseball has proven over and over anything can happen. And so I think since we're an older team, I mean, we're really good at helping maybe the freshmen kind of get a little more level-headed. Not that they're bad at it, but I mean, it's really cool to be ranked nationally. But at the end of the day, you got to go out and play. And I mean, if you don't go out and play like a national ranked team, then it doesn't matter if you are a national ranked team. And if you're unranked, go play like you're a ranked team. And so I think it's one of those things where it's cool and all to post on Instagram and stuff like that, but you just have to go play. You can't really listen to the noise. This is the time where you kind of have to just get pretty tunnel visioned, and just worry about what you're doing that day and kind of focus on the weekend and stuff like that, and not really worry about what others are saying about your program.